Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you. I hope you can hear me and see me all right. There'll be a few more people entering as we get started here. And if you are here but have not turned your video on, that would be great so that you can all see each other. Hello, Carl. Let's see. Okay, so I'll tell you what, we are going to get started. It's 8:31. I know there's more people coming, but we're going to get going anyway. Hi, Christina. All right, so it is really nice to see you all. My name is Jim Dozer. I'm the director of Eastman's Institute for Music Leadership. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself in a few minutes, but first I'd like to hear just a little bit about you first so that I can that will help me to format my comments for tonight, and then hopefully some good questions and answers too. So Carl, would you tell us, first of all, what, it looks like you're a bassoonist. Okay, so you're a bassoonist. So tell us what your major you're looking to do in college and perhaps where you did your undergrad work.
DMA Performance and Literature applicant for bassoon. And let's see, I'm coming from, way back undergrad was Oberlin by way of Yale. And then I did a few years at the orchestra now. So I don't know. I'm just hustling.
All right, sounds good. All right, Nate, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. What do you do? What do you play? What are you looking? What's your degree that you're looking to enter?
Well, I'm a vocal performance major here at Miami University in Ohio. I'm finishing up my undergrad this year, and I'm graduating with a second major in interactive media studies as well. So that's like art installations, projection mapping, virtual reality, web design, that sort of thing.
Fantastic.
So I'd be studying my master's in vocal performance.
Excellent. Great. Alexis, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Alexis. I'm studying voice performance and music education at Spelman College, and I look to master in music education at Eastman.
Excellent. Welcome. Andrew, I see that you popped in. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
Hi, I'm a jazz piano player, and I'm going to be doing my master's at Eastman for jazz studies, piano performance.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So please forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong, and please correct me. Is it Soon Hong?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Sung Hong, and I am an incoming student for the Masters of Choral Conducting at Eastman.
Excellent. Thank you.
I am from Malaysia.
Malaysia. Wonderful. Welcome. And is it Pulip?
Yes, it's Pulip. Hi, I'm an incoming student from Seoul, South Korea, and I major in vocal performance. I'm a soprano.
Oh, welcome. Rachel.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I cannot open the camera.
That's okay.
And I'm major in film composition.
Very good.
You.
Welcome, Rachel. Angela.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm an incoming DMA student for violin performance and literature. And yeah, I graduated from Juilliard 2 years ago.
Excellent. Welcome, Angela. And let's see. I believe I'm going to go for your name. Tell me if it's wrong. Use Han. I pronounced it so bad. Use Han doesn't know that I'm calling. Okay, we'll get. Hi. Pronounce your name for me, please. I believe you're muted.
Hi, my name is Yujan.
And tell us what you do. What's your instrument?
Yes, I am an applicant for Eastman, and if I accept the offer, I would be a former student in September in Eastman. So
And what would your major be?
piano, master
Piano.
of music. Yes,
Excellent.
yes.
Okay, thank you. So I think that we covered everybody. Thank you very much for spending a few minutes to do that. I did get everyone right. I think so. Okay. All right. So let me just tell you a little bit about myself, so that you know the perspective that I'm coming from, or the perspectives. So I was a student at Eastman a long time ago. My degrees were a Bachelor of Music in Music Education. I have a performer certificate in saxophone, and then I did a master's degree in Jazz and Contemporary Media. I'm also a parent of 2 Eastman alums. My oldest son, Tom, was a bassoon performance major and also a American history major at the University of Rochester. He's now a dissertation away from his PhD in American history from the University of Houston. My second son, Chris, was a saxophone performance major and a music education major. And also captain of the University of Rochester swim team, and applied math student at the University of Rochester. And he is a teacher in the public school and also is an extra with the Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra, and a swim coach too. So I've been around Eastman for a long time. I mean, when I was a student, but I've also been on the faculty. For a number of years, I was on the jazz faculty where I directed the Eastman New Jazz Ensemble and taught improvisation and pedagogy. I've been on the arts leadership faculty for a number of years. And all the time I was doing that, I was also teaching in the public schools where I spent 36 years teaching first grade from to 12th grade, and was the administrator for that program. And now for the last 6 years, I've been director of the Institute for Music Leadership. So I've got a lot of different perspectives. So when we get to questions, you might have, you know a little bit about me so that you can frame your questions as well. So with that, all of that in mind, I'd like to get really right to the point of what we should be talking about today, and that's careers in music. So I figured that we'll spend about 10 or 12 minutes letting me talk, and then the rest of the time I'll answer your questions if that works for you. So I decided that maybe the best thing to do tonight was for me to think about what could be the most important, most difficult question that you could ask me, and use that to talk about career paths and how the Institute for Music Leadership specifically might assist you should you come here to school at Eastman. So here's the question that I think it would be the hardest question for me to answer. I'm interested if any of you have had this question. All right, here it is. So we're studying to be professional musicians and educators, which is a field that can be very difficult to develop a sustainable career in, even during normal times. Today, we're dealing with a pandemic, a distressed economy, especially in the arts, and a polarized society. Can you guarantee us that we'll have a job in music when we graduate? So I'm just going to imagine that every one of you asked me that question. So here's the answer. No, there's no guarantee. And I would suggest that any school that you have gone to or you're considering going to, that if they tell you that there is a guarantee, that you should think twice about going to that school. But there are a few things that I can guarantee you. Specifically 3 things. The first is that there are thousands of pathways to a successful career in music. The second is that 95% of them haven't been identified or defined yet. And the third is that the other 5% of those careers are becoming more competitive. They're changing substantially. They're decreasing in number. And in some cases, they're even disappearing. So what does that really mean? And why am I optimistic about you and your career in music after telling you that those are the only guarantees that I can muster. So for most of us, our career path is going to be unique to us. It's going to combine multiple skills, multiple passions. It's going to evolve over time, and almost always, you will not have predicted the path that you are going to take through music. So I'm going to share something with you. I'm hoping you can see that. This is a career map. It's my career map. What's on it doesn't matter, except for two things. One is on the left-hand side, it says musician, because that's what everything else started. That's where it all started, being a good musician. And if you can see it way up in the right-hand corner, you might have to move the box or something around, but it should say 85%. So those two things tell me that your path is going to be unique to you. That's my path. But that in my case, and I think probably in yours, 85% of that path is going to be made possible by about 85% of the skills that you have other than music skills. So there's other things that go into you developing that path and being successful. All right, let me stop this share for a second. Okay. So the question is, how do we do that? How do we figure out what that path is going to be? How do we make it through that path? So first thing that I want to stress is that it starts with being a great artist, a musical performer, an educator, a scholar at the highest level. So let me repeat that for a minute. It starts with that. That's kind of the ticket to get into the career. That's your entry point. You've got to do that just to be considered, just to have a chance at having a successful career. But there's other skills too that are really important. Skills that you're passionate about, that you're good at, and that you're committed to developing as well. And I think I heard a couple of you mention some of those skills when we were doing the introductions too. And I think someone was talking to me about, or talking to us, Nate, maybe it was you, about what was that other degree that you had? Or,
interactive media studies.
Yeah. So those kinds of things, who knows what it's going to be? It could be you speak a lot of languages. It could be you're great at math. It could be any number of things. These are going to play a part in developing that pathway and being successful. There's a term that's used a lot in business, and it applies to us. It applies to developing a successful career in the 21st century. That term is convergence. I'm going to share something else with you, or share another slide with you. That should be the same slide. Here's the new one. So if you look at that blue circle on the left, your talents, your skills, your artistry, your passion, whatever those things might be that maybe you've even forgotten you're really good at. Maybe you're great at science, you just have left it alone for the last 6 years. Those things make up the entire toolkit, the toolbox that you have in your career, developing your career. And in that right circle, you see that rather provocative phrase of what people care about. What I mean by that is, what is it that people or communities or institutions need? What do they want? What do they care about? The term value is where the convergence comes in. If it's going to be up to you to understand how your unique set of skills can satisfy some of the needs and wants of other people in your community. That's how we build a career and how we utilize all of those skills that are part of our unique package. So that sounds really like, you know, it makes sense and it's good, but we all know, you all know from doing degrees already in music that it's very hard to do when you're a musician because it requires so much focus and dedication and time. So how do you do it? You got to not live only in the practice room or in the library or in the classroom. You've got to access other resources and work to develop those skills. For example, at the Institute for Music Leadership, or the IML at Eastman, we offer over 20 classes that range from things like digital marketing to entrepreneurial thinking, to keys to healthy musicianship, to teaching, studio teaching at the college level. Over 20 of them, all different topics that deal with how you might apply some of your other skills in a music career context. And you're all grad students, so I have some really good news for you, and that is that all of those classes are free to grad students. You don't have to pay tuition for them, except for the rare occasion when you might want to have them also apply for degree credit. There's a few courses that can, but the great majority of them are no extra charge for grad students. Also at IML and throughout the school and other programs, you'll see all sorts of events and workshops. And I can tell my own experience as a student, we see those notices and we want to go to them. But we say, well, I've really got to get to the practice room, or I really, you know, I got to spend another 20 minutes on, you know, in the room practicing for my lesson. And that's true. But think now, frame that in the context of you've got to develop a unique path. You've got to develop your own skills. You've got to consider what value you can provide to other people. Attending those things are really important. It's also important that wherever you go to school, you interact with students from other majors. Here we have a river campus with you know, dozens and dozens and dozens of majors. It's really important that you spend time working with them, creating projects with them, taking classes with them, getting to know them, so you can see the synergies that can happen between fields. We also in Rochester have the Rochester Institute for Technology. That's where a lot of our film and contemporary media composers interact with the filmmakers at RIT and the game designers and things like that. So those kind of interactions are important. It's also a lot of programs like our arts leadership program, where you can take a concentration of those classes that I mentioned, and there's internships through those programs. So there's other programs throughout the school that are like that. There's certificate programs, there's minor degrees you can take both at Eastman and at the River campus. And there's also a career services office within the IML. We manage the career services, and we interact also with the career services at the University of Rochester. And it's important that you as graduate students, either, well, if you're going to be a master's student, you know, 2 years goes by really fast. Even if you're a DMA or a PhD student, those 3, 4, 5, or even 10 years, depending on how long you take, they can go by pretty quick too. So you want to get to career services early. You don't want to wait to the last day that you're here. So the most important thing that I can say to you, I think, is there's no single definition of what a successful career in music looks like. You should not, even though you're going to be very focused as graduate students, you should not harbor some single definition of what success is. I'm only going to be successful if I teach at this kind of university. I'm only going to be successful if I'm playing in an orchestra, or I'm only successful if I've got a music ed job in the best school district, wherever you want to live. So it's not a single, you've got to broaden your scope. And it's also important that you don't let anyone else define what that success is too. Not me, not your studio teacher, not your advisor. It's up to you to determine what that path is going to be. So I think there's another reality that, you know, you've heard things like what I've been talking about tonight before, but maybe been resistant to embrace it. I encourage you to embrace the concept that 95% of careers in music have yet to be defined. that there's all sorts of opportunities that are going to exist that we just don't know what they are yet, but you're going to define what they're going to be. So it's really a quest for you to plot that path yourself. The last thing that I want to do and share with you is, this website. This is the IML website. I encourage you to go there. It's iml.esm.rochester.edu. And you'll see that there's a lot of information here. If you look under the Arts Leadership Program tab, you'll see about all the courses that I mentioned to you, our certificate program, all sorts of things. There's something called the Paul Judy Center for Innovation Research. We do things like write the Eastman case studies, which are all about studying business problems in musical arts organizations. Our careers office, we find all sorts of resources. We have a wonderful career advisor. Her name is Blair Kerner. She has her DMA from Eastman in bassoon. And she's both a wonderful musician and a wonderful advocate for students and helping them through the career path. And the kinds of events that I talked to you about, you'll see here. We're just finishing up a collaboration with the University of Michigan now called Disruption, Action, and Change. Those kinds of events are listed, things you should participate in. And then we have grant programs for students and alumni where they can apply for grants to launch different kinds of projects. A gig service, which is not operational right now because of COVID restrictions, but will be in the fall, we hope. So I invite you to visit that website when you have a chance, and that can, I think, give you a pretty good picture of what the IML is all about. Okay, so I kind of talked a lot about things that are near and dear to my heart and to our program at Eastman and at the IML. I wonder if you have any questions that, or discussion starters that you'd like to offer. Yes, Alexis.
I just wanted to know if the IML, if the IML offered any assistantships for graduate students that they could potentially apply for during their matriculation.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I laughed when you were trying to recall IML because Eastman is the king of acronyms. Everything we do has another acronym. I can't even remember what they are. So the answer to the question is yes. We normally have 2 assistantships in our office. In addition to that, we hire between 2 and 4 student workers each year as well. And that process is, well, 2 different processes. For an assistantship, you'd want to make sure that the graduate office, studies office is aware that you're interested in assistantship at the IML. And then those people, their names and information get forwarded to us. And for student workers, we post those jobs usually at the end of the summer. When students are just starting to get back. You can also contact our office and our email is on that website that I showed you. And you know, it never hurts to send an email that says, hey, I'm coming to Eastman, I'm interested. That helps us to remember you when we start looking through the list of potential candidates. What other questions can I answer? Have any of you been in Rochester before? No one. Oh, Alexis, you have. Okay. Okay. So you're going to stand with me when I say this, and that is that it's always sunny here. It's, you know, never gets below about 60 degrees, beautiful all year round. Even though that's not exactly true. We appreciate nice days a lot. It does snow here from time to time. In fact, it's supposed to snow tomorrow. Yeah, Carl.
I think it's interesting, you know, like most college, conservatories and schools of music, they usually have a career services department. but Eastman has an Institute for Musical Leadership, which seems like, yes, it's intentionally different. And I'm wondering how that came about and why and what like, what's different?
Yeah, that's a great question, Carl. So I'm going to give you the very short version, and that was about 30 years ago, even more. It was started by one of our directors, Robert Freeman, who he didn't start the IML, but he started the concept that even then, you know, this was even 40, 50 years ago, Dr. Freeman said musicians need to be more than musicians. They need to have more skills. They need to know how to read and write. They need to know how to stand up in front of people and talk, and even things that you don't think about, like how to talk to donors. You know, really important thing. The subsequent deans after Dr. Freeman, including James Underkoffler, who started the IML, the Institute for Music Leadership, through a program called Eastman Initiatives that continued this thinking that students must have those resources to be successful. So the IML started, well, actually the Arts Leadership Program started first about 25 years ago, and it was the first in the country to do that. And then the IML as an umbrella organization kind of came over that about 20 years ago. And since then it's gone through development that has seen enrichment of all the way from addition of programs and services and interactions and internships, the Paul Judy Center, which is part of that, to now having a Master's of Arts degree that is our program in music leadership. So it's really evolved through the dedication of some really visionary people over several years. And it is intentional, and I'm glad that you said that, because we see this as an important resource for every student, every major at Eastman. Yes, Nate?
Yeah, so I was just reading about your grant programs on the website. Let me quickly navigate back to it so I don't say the wrong one, put my foot in my mouth. So for instance, the IML Grant and Mentorship Program. What sort of projects are approved for that in most cases?
Yeah, we just approved some projects recently. We have 2 cycles, an October 1st and a March 1st. So these programs are entrepreneurial in nature. So by saying that, I don't mean that they're students who want to start businesses, though they may be. What I mean by entrepreneurial is that these students have an idea of how they can take some aspect of their training and skill set and do something to benefit the general community around them. So one of the programs that we just approved a grant for was from a clarinetist who is in a woodwind quintet, and she proposed that through her grant that they purchase music players, and that the woodwind quintet record music specifically designed to assist nursing home residents, and to curate this music through the chamber music program year after year, and place these music players in area nursing homes, and each year load them with this music, one button play for people who are in nursing homes who could find this helpful. So that's one example, but they range from kind of that kind of social entrepreneurship to people who've started businesses. And some, they start it and it fails, but it's a great learning experience. Others started and they actually turn out to be, successful. So it has a wide range. The concept is that it's not just asking for funding and getting funding. It's asking for funding and getting funding with mentorship along the way, because you don't know what you don't know until the problems occur.
And then one more question further on that funding. Is that all to be used towards like the product, or could you use some of that to pay people to help you with it, essentially?
Yes, you
So,
can
like-
use, yes, you can use it to pay people. So, for example, a typical project might involve, part of it might involve having a website. So oftentimes a web developer will be paid out of that grant money. Great. Other questions? Okay, so let's see, what else can I tell you? I can tell you that our alumni from the Arts Leadership Program often, and what I mean by that, students who've taken our classes and often are in our certificate program, will often point to one of two things that are extremely influential in the development of their careers. One is their internship, or internships, I should say. Not only because of what they learned, but because of the networking that is involved in that. And the other is in taking advantage of some of the inspirational guests that we have visit. Often those kinds of connections that are made there turn out to be career-changing connections. So that turns out to be a really important component for our students. The other thing that I hear time and time again is I never, ever thought that my career was going to go in this direction. And here's an example. This actually applies, Nate, to another grant program, which is one that we have with a organization called Artist Share. So our Artist Share, one of our two Artist Share Award winners this year, her name is Caitlin Kahn. She's an alum. This is a program, students can apply, but it's mostly alumni. Caitlin is a vocalist, and she has a particular passion, she and two of her other colleagues, for art song. And she and her colleagues have gone on to create a nonprofit organization in Chicago called the Lynx Project, LYNX. And we've just funded them through Artist Share, or they're using Artist Share to fund an incredible project where they are commissioning composers to write art songs based upon text that is being written by teen and young adult authors who are autistic and nonverbal. So these students, these people who don't have a voice, their music is being set to song. And then the part of the Artist Share project where this comes in is that they are developing, they're recording these songs, and they're planning to distribute those recordings worldwide. So that's, I think it's just it's an example of how, if you'd asked Caitlin, and she was in two of my classes, if you would have asked her at that time, could you ever have envisioned that a portion of her career would be this? Yeah, absolutely not. So I think that's a real benefit of allowing yourself that ability to vision of what your career path might be. Okay, is there anything else I can help you with? All right, so I'm going to invite you to contact any member of our team, including myself, between now and, well, whenever. Even if you don't come to Eastman, we're happy to, to talk with you. Our emails are on our website. So if you look through the website, you have any questions, please don't hesitate to shoot us an email or give us, well, don't give us a call because we're most of our staff is working remotely right now, but do email us and we'll be very happy to answer any questions that you have. Christina, have I left anything out?
No, that was great. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Well, it's really my pleasure to meet all of you. I wish you good luck in whatever your decision process is about where you are. If you haven't made that decision yet, there's many, many good places, and I know you'll find the right place for you. So good luck in that search, and I hope that I get to meet you in person someday soon. All right. Thank you.